Hi, Manong George here. Welcome to the channel. And for today's episode, we'll talk about the biggest mistakes to avoid when applying for the UK.
The nmcoski is changing, and our course is changing too. From this summer, the nmcoski is going to be 10 stations, and we've got 10 rooms to match. Practice every station in our state-of-the-art Central London Training Centre, or connect with the centre through VR from wherever you are in the world. 10 stations, 10 rooms. Yes, the number you need is 0203 637 6722. That's 0203 637 6722. To your success.
First big mistake to avoid when applying for the UK is not read your contract. Right, what do I mean by this? Now, we've been doing this for almost 3 years now, and one of the most common things that gets asked to us is that, well, Manong George, I'm applying for this and this in the UK. Is this correct? Is this right? I always just refer back to them and ask to them, have you read your contract? And sometimes what kind of I'd say disappoints me is that they'd say, I'm not too sure if I've read my contract just yet. So why it's important to read your contract is because if you do not read your contract, you do not understand your liabilities. You do not know what your responsibilities are. You're just coming to work without a clear understanding of what is expected of you. You do not even understand how much your employer is responsible for your application, right? So most important really is to read your contract, because everything that's written on the contract is then binded by law. You then have an understanding on what is your responsibilities, at the same time the responsibilities of your employer. So please do not forget, read your contract. Another big mistake, you just say, I'll accept anything that takes me to the UK. What do I mean by this? Right, so I've spoken with a fair few Filipino nurses, a lot of them actually, who would tell me, hey Manong George, I've done my tests. Do you know of an agency that takes in nurses right now? Maybe I'll give them some of the agencies I know that I see on social media that's actively hiring. But then they'll say, well, I'll take that. It's okay. It doesn't matter where I go as long as I land in the UK. Well, initially I'd say there's nothing really much wrong with that, but I'd say it's still a big mistake just to accept wherever, whatever, as long as it's in the UK. And I tell you why. It's simply because if you just go randomly and with just saying, yes, I'll take that, you sacrifice a lot of things. First, your experience. Because maybe you're going into a care home, or maybe even going to an NHS ward where in fact maybe your experience is in the theaters. And so there's nothing wrong with that, but then again, you have to remember you're giving yourself a bigger challenge in trying to bridge your experience to wherever the UK takes you, right? Also, you might be looking at accepting wherever you might be located in the UK. All right, so one thing you have to remember, and this is very true with the Philippines, the Filipino community sometimes, is that when we say the UK, all they think of sometimes is the UK is London, and London is the UK. No, London is just a city in the UK, and there's so many other places. So what do I mean by that? Sometimes it gives that generalization that everywhere in the UK is the same, when in fact the UK is such a big country. There's a lot of difference, variables in every place, and every place is unique. And so I would advise that, find something that suits for you first. Right? So if you're somebody who doesn't really work well in a city, why live in London? Taking anything randomly so that you could come here in the UK The other thing that you actually risk is you risk your own goals in life, right? So what do I mean by that? Of course, when you come here to the UK, nobody comes here without the dream of progressing, whether that's a better improvement in life or in career. Now, if you just roll the dice, sometimes where you have actually prepared for, and then where you actually land here and settle, it may not meet. And you might have to sacrifice everything else that you've already sacrificed for. All right. So what do I mean by that? Longing to become a nurse specialist, and all throughout your career, whether that's in the Middle East or in the Philippines, you've made steps in achieving that dream. However, you said to yourself, I could go to the UK and do whatever it takes, just as long as I arrive in the UK. You accept, say, care home job, which is not bad. It's actually quite good and challenging, I'd say. But then your experience now will not suit the new job that you're taking. And so all that hard work you've had to start with in your career may not be viable for your new career. I'm not saying you're not going to be successful. I've met some people who have actually, started from scratch, because we all start from scratch here anyway in the UK. But all I'm saying is that there's just too much of a challenge and a bridge to cross and to merge just for you to get forward. And the last mistake that we often encounter in the Filipino UK nurses community and Manong George is that some nurses would come to the UK without really doing their research on where they're going. You have to do proper research, all right? You do research, the institution where you're working at. Understand what are their specialties. Are you one of their very first cohorts? Do they have enough OSCE support? These things are very, very relevant for you who would be starting out here in the UK. Second, you really afford living in such a place. What do I mean by that? London is expensive. The southern part of England is expensive. Normally, anything that has a coastal area, especially down south of the country, is expensive. So, is that something that you research? Because if not, and if you have family to bring, then in the long run, it might not be worth it for you. So do your proper research. Don't just rely on Facebook posts or simply videos even. I suggest if you see somebody who have posted something on social media, or even you can message us in Manong George and we could help you. The good news is now here in the UK, there's a big community of Filipino nurses all over. The diasporas are there. The diaspora associations are there. You've got PNA UK and other associations that are readily available to help. Social media is something that you could use now to help you research properly. So think about that. So all I'm saying is that don't just randomly take whatever given to you. Research, find the best opportunity, and also read your contract. All right? And always remember, Manong knows.